What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Leo's Nerd Talk, and today we're going to be talking about the original 1922 Nosferatu. Hi, my name is Leo. As I talk about anything movie, TV show, video game related, or just anything nerdy, you have come to the right place. And like I said, today we're talking about Nosferatu. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Now, continuing on our Halloween special, there's a little bit of a change of pace from the three movies I reviewed previously, with Terrifier going all the way back to one of the horror classics, Nosferatu from 1922. And one, I wanted to watch this movie first because we are getting a remake of Nosferatu with Robert Eggers' remake coming out in a couple months from now, as well as I didn't want to go back and kind of revisit all the classic horror monster movies, and this being one of the oldest one of the most original ones. I thought I would start off with this one, and this one's kind of an interesting one because a lot of people tend to claim this as one of the greatest horror movies of all time. You know, this is obviously a classic film. People absolutely love the character of Nosferatu and absolutely love this movie. This was still during the silent movie era, so this was definitely a very interesting watching this movie, 102 years after its release date. That is absolutely insane. But with that being said, let me go ahead and give you my thoughts about Nosferatu. Now, starting off with the positives, I think this movie does a pretty good job of actually building up the intrigue of who Nosferatu is, and it does it in a very good way where it's paced very well, especially with a movie where there's not too much dialogue. You have to read all the different title cards and things like that, and it goes through these motions, and it actually gets you to where you want to be in the castle of Nosferatu, or Count Orlark, whatever his name is, and it does it in a very quick paced way where you're interested the entire time. Even for me, someone that watched this movie for the first time ever today, 102 years after this movie's release, it wasn't boring. There was never a time where I felt bored for it being a silent film or being a movie that doesn't have all these different special effects and crazy acting going on throughout the entire time. It kept me interested, and I really enjoyed that a director from over 100 years ago was able to capture me still to this day with its storytelling, its pacing, its shot choices, its characters. Because even for all these actors and actresses that are in this movie that aren't necessarily giving a world-class acting abilities here, they're able to still kind of emote their emotions. And because it is a silent film and they can't speak what they're thinking or speak what they're feeling, they have to definitely emote and use facial expressions and very bombastic movements and stuff like that to kind of portray what they're feeling, as well as these faces that these people make when they hear that he's going to the Nosferatu castle, and everybody gets surprised and everything like that, and telling them, "Oh, you can't be going there. You have to stay back here. It's not safe." And again, it just builds that intrigue, and I really enjoyed the pacing to that, where again, you're just never bored. It keeps you invested throughout the entire time. And I really enjoyed the character of Nosferatu. He has one of the most iconic designs in horror history. Definitely nothing crazy, but it's so iconic, and it's actually pretty menacing and creepy, especially when you have this, film that's very old and these dark shadows, and you see his eyes and the way he stands, how stiff he is. It actually feels creepy. And it's funny that Nosferatu has I forget who did the article or the poll or whatever, but Nosferatu was in the top 100 scariest moments of all time in film history, and you can definitely feel that. There's some intensity to it. It's definitely creepy, and I can only imagine people watching this movie for the first time back in 1922 how much scarier these moments actually were, because they've never seen anything like this. And that's something I wish I could be at that time watching the movie for the first time, because even me now, like I said, 102 years after this release date, it still feels very effective, and it surprised me how effective it actually was. And of course, as being a silent film, the music is a big part of it. The utilization of music from going to very jolly and playful to more menacing and kind of thunderous in a way, it definitely helps you kind of feel the tone, feel the mood of the scene that you're watching. So I think the music was done very well. The score was done very well. And kind of going back to Nosferatu, apart from what they do showing him visually, I like how they utilize like the shadows to make him look even more menacing and bigger and more of a threat. And you know, he uses shadows as like a power that he has. So it definitely just transcends how powerful Nosferatu is and how creepy this character is and how much of an iconic horror character he is in the entirety of film history. And overall, I think the story, while it's being pretty basic, of this a guy sent to Transylvania to sell Nosferatu a house where he lives, even though it's a basic kind of story, it's still fun. I like it. This is from what I read, a very loose adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula, and you can definitely see that those kind of things. You know, his like even like from last year that we got The Last Voyage of Demeter, you see that part of it, like in Act 4 of him going from Transylvania to London, I believe they're in, and you see that kind of the whole Demeter story of Bram Stoker's Dracula, and you see a bunch of different other parts of Bram Stoker's Dracula's book that are implemented into this. But overall, I still think that the story is done very well. Like I said, pacing is done very well. For even being early filmmaking, shot choices were done very well. So overall, was a surprising watch for me. I was expecting to be bored out of my mind. This was not going to work for me at all, but it surprisingly did, and I actually really enjoyed it. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into my cons. And the biggest con is, at least for me, I don't know how rewatchable this movie is. This is definitely one of those movies that I think you should watch in life, especially if you're very much into films, very much into horror, and kind of want to see the history of film. This is definitely one of those movies that I think is an absolute must watch, because it is a very, very well done, well made film. However, it's a movie that you watch it once, you enjoy it, and you appreciate it, and that's about it. I don't think I'll ever be in the mood to be, wanting to throw this movie on and watch this movie over a lot of other movies. So that's probably the biggest negative, is rewatchability. And rewatchability is very important to me. And while this movie was very, very good and I really, really enjoyed it, I think I would have a hard time finding myself putting this movie on over anything else. And lastly, this movie kind of gets broken into multiple acts. It's about a 5-act movie. And in my opinion, the 5th act definitely felt a bit long, a bit dragged out. This movie is only like an hour and a half, hour, 15 minutes long, I think it is. And it just felt like it was too long towards the end. You know, it didn't feel like the pacing felt like it slowed down by the end. So it definitely felt a little too long for me in that regard. But overall, I think the movie did pace very, very well. But overall, let me know what you guys think about Nosferatu. Have you seen this movie? If you have, definitely give me your thoughts. Let me know your excitement for the new Nosferatu movie coming out this year. But again, if you guys like talking about movie, TV shows, or video game related, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.